To understand the man who would shake the foundations of American democracy, you first have to understand the world that built him. Donald John Trump was born on June 14, 1946, not in the glitzy skyscrapers of Manhattan, but across the river in Queens. He was the fourth child of Fred Trump, a rigid, disciplined builder who amassed a fortune constructing housing for the middle class. Fred didn't build luxury, he built efficiency, and he ran his family with the same ruthless precision. At the Trump dinner table, you were either a killer or a loser. There was no middle ground. Young Donald was a rough-and-tumble kid, bold, brash, and reportedly a bit of a bully. By age 13, his behavioral difficulties led his father to ship him off to the New York Military Academy. It was here, amidst the drills and the discipline, that Trump learned a lesson he would carry for the rest of his life: dominance. He wasn't the smartest academic student, but he was socially dominant. He learned to project strength, even when he didn't have it. After avoiding the Vietnam draft, with 4 student deferments and 1 medical diagnosis of bone spurs, he graduated from the Wharton School of Finance. But his real education happened in his father's leasing office, collecting rent and learning that in the game of life, you never ever let them see you bleed. By 1901, Donald had taken control of his father's company. But Queens wasn't enough. He looked across the East River to Manhattan, a place his father called the Big Leagues. New York in the 70s was a city on the brink of collapse. Crime was up, money was fleeing. Where others saw rot, Trump saw an opening. His first masterpiece was the Grand Hyatt. Using his father's political connections, he secured an unprecedented 40-year tax break, the first of many deals where he used other people's money to build his own empire. But his crown jewel was Trump Tower. Opened in 1983, it was a monument to himself, 58 stories of black glass and gold right on Fifth Avenue. It was gaudy, it was loud, and it was an instant hit. This was the era of the Donald. He wasn't just a developer, he was a character. He understood something few businessmen did. The media didn't care about balance sheets, they cared about a good story. He would call reporters pretending to be a publicist named John Miller, bragging about how many actresses wanted to date Donald Trump. He cultivated an image of the ultimate playboy billionaire, flanked by his glamorous wife, Ivana. He wrote The Art of the Deal, or rather he talked while a ghostwriter wrote it. It became a Bible for aspiring capitalists and cemented the myth that Trump turned everything he touched into gold. But behind the gold plating, cracks were forming.
The 1990s brought a brutal reality check. I had overextended. I bought an airline I couldn't run, the Plaza Hotel I couldn't afford, and built casinos in Atlantic City that cannibalized each other. The Trump Taj Mahal, which I dubbed the 8th wonder of the world, filed for bankruptcy a year after opening. My personal life imploded in spectacular fashion. My affair with Marla Maples became tabloid fodder, leading to a messy public divorce from Ivana. The banks put me on an allowance. For a moment, I was technically worth less than a beggar on the street, but I possessed a unique survival instinct. I was too big to fail. The banks needed my name to keep the casinos running. I clawed my way back, not by building, but by branding. I slapped my name on everything: steaks, vodka, ties, water. I wasn't selling real estate anymore. I was selling the idea of Trump.
Then, in 2004, came the lifeline that would change history: The Apprentice. Producer Mark Burnett needed a rich guy and I needed a comeback. The show presented a sanitized, edited version of me, the decisive boss sitting in a boardroom, firing people with authority. It wasn't reality, but it was great TV. For 14 seasons, I was beamed into American living rooms as the ultimate symbol of competence and success. I wasn't just a businessman, I was now a household name.
Trump had flirted with politics for decades, but in June 2015, he descended the golden escalator at Trump Tower and changed the rules forever. His announcement speech was shocking, calling Mexican immigrants rapists and criminals. The political establishment laughed. They said he was a clown, a sideshow. They were wrong. Trump tapped into a deep vein of American anger. He spoke to the factory workers left behind by globalization, the rural voters who felt mocked by coastal elites. He didn't speak like a politician. He spoke like a construction boss from Queens. He gave people nicknames. He insulted war heroes. He defied every norm of political decency. And every time he did, his poll numbers went up.
He hijacked the Republican Party, crushing 16 seasoned rivals. His rallies became rock concerts of grievance and nationalism. His opponent, Hillary Clinton, prepared for a traditional campaign. Trump waged a guerrilla war of slogans and tweets. On November 8, 2016, the unthinkable happened. The man who had never held public office, who had been caught on tape bragging about sexual assault just weeks prior, smashed the blue wall. Donald J. Trump was elected the 45th President of the United States. Trump's presidency was exactly like his business career. Chaotic, loud, and dominated by his personality. He didn't pivot to become presidential. He governed by tweet. His administration was a revolving door of firings and resignations. He declared war on the media, branding them the enemy of the people. There were victories for his base. He appointed 3 conservative Supreme Court justices, reshaping American law for generations. He slashed regulations and passed massive tax cuts that juiced the stock market. He demanded the world pay attention, engaging in trade wars with China and historic, if theatrical, summits with North Korea. But the controversies were relentless. The investigation into Russian interference clouded his early years. His response to the white supremacist rally in Charlottesville, claiming there were very fine people on both sides, drew global condemnation. He was impeached by the House for pressuring Ukraine to investigate his political rival, Joe Biden, becoming only the 3rd president in history to bear that stain. Then came the year that broke the world, 2020. A global pandemic crashed the economy he cherished. Trump's response to COVID-19 was erratic, downplaying the virus, fighting with scientists, and turning masks into a culture war symbol. As the death toll mounted and racial justice protests swept the nation, the chaos seemed to consume his presidency. He lost the 2020 election to Joe Biden. But Donald Trump does not accept defeat. He launched a crusade against the result, claiming widespread fraud without evidence. It culminated on January 6, 2021, when a mob of his supporters stormed the US Capitol to stop the certification of the vote. It was a dark day in American history, leading to his 2nd impeachment. He left Washington disgraced, stripped of his Twitter megaphone, his business is under siege. Most pundits wrote his political obituary, but they underestimated him again. From his Mar-a-Lago club in Florida, he ruled the Republican Party as a kingmaker. He turned his legal troubles into a badge of honor. When he was indicted 4 times, facing 91 felony counts, his support didn't crack, it hardened. He campaigned for 2024 not on policy but on retribution. He painted a picture of a failing nation invaded by migrants and destroyed by the radical left. While his opponents fought in courtrooms, he fought in the court of public opinion. And in November 2024, in a stunning resurrection, he defeated Kamala Harris to become the 2nd president in history to win 2 non-consecutive terms. Donald Trump is more than a man. He is a mirror. To his supporters, he is a gladiator who fights for the forgotten man against a corrupt system. To his critics, he is an authoritarian demagogue who threatens the very fabric of the republic. But one thing is undeniable. He is the most significant political figure of the 21st century. From the outer boroughs of Queens to the most powerful office on earth, his life has been a relentless pursuit of the spotlight, a testament to the power of branding, and a story of survival at any cost. Love him or loathe him, the world will never be the same after Donald J. Trump. And as he reclaims the White House, the final chapter of his story is yet to be written. But if history has taught us anything, it's this: expect the unexpected.